Oh yeah. What's up, guys? Give me 5 minutes. No, I'm joking. JK. Pop out chat. Put the chat there, bro. Nice. Today is a great day for the power user because today I'm making the most powerful AI of all time. It's gonna be so powerful that once I'm complete with it, it's gonna be banned globally. In fact, it's gonna be so powerful of an AI that it will be sentient. That's my goal. But I've realized a couple things. I've been working on this for a few days now, and I've realized a few things about what I'm working on. First of all, I suck. Second of all, I don't know object-oriented programming enough to get very far in my object-oriented goals. But what I do know is one thing. It's that I want to use more weird data types like fucking vec, uint. I don't want this string slop. So we're gonna rewrite all this without the string. Anyway, what does this program even get me to? So that program gets us places. It got me places, okay? It got me to the point where I've been able to identify a few things, come up with a sort of system that kind of sort of works. And I'll explain everything as we go through it. Ah, yes, thank you, Jester, for the daily Jester. C++ is more of a Rube Goldberg type thing, full of high voltages, large chain-driven gears, sharp edges exploding widgets, and spots to get your fingers crushed. And because of its complexity, many, if not most, of its users don't know how it works, and can't tell ahead of time what's going to cause them to lose an arm. It's popular motives. Planned by Sun to undermine Microsoft. Well, hey, if they did that, if they were successful, that'd be amazing of them. We wouldn't have to deal with Microslop today. It's okay, though. Clear. Today, we're gonna cd into d_lang, where my project is at, Fish AI. The Fish AI parser phase 1 is pretty interesting. It should be compiled right now, and it should be able to run. See, it shouldn't have partially compiled, because it throws an exception and says, oh, we can't compile if this is wrong. It does that really fast when you use the DMD compiler. It's like, yeah, you have this, and this wrong in your program. Please fix it before we can actually compile. So it's nice and tells you when things are wrong. But let's take an excerpt. Like, for example, let's take Jester 2 C++, for example. I haven't tested something like this, but we're going to take this quote, and we're going to copy selection to clipboard. Then we're going to do /parser. Control, shouldn't it just be that? Yeah. And see what it did? Very quickly. This is threaded. So it runs very fast. Wonder what OS he uses. Oh yeah, I use Arch, by the way, guys. The background says it all, doesn't it? Hold on. Getting everything. So, now if I ls, there should be a file called model, and I can cat that. You'll see it's assigned an ID for every letter. This was some testing I was doing last night, and I'll explain what exactly is going on here with this. This is a problem. See, if you have a singular character, for example, if I did parser A, B, C, and D, it's gonna parse them all as A. I've tried to fix this by adding extra characters, but you can't do that because there's no difference in the words. If there's a slight difference, it will generate a new unique ID for each word. This is kind of limited too because you don't really get the full capabilities, and there's potential for overlap, which I've seen in some cases in the early phases of designing this specific generation. C++, gosh. For example, A is always this number, but it always will generate A as that number. It found two these. The problem is, this is unreliable, and I need to fix that. And so, I don't really see any overlap. Let's take, let's do something bigger. For example, get the Java quotes. Get one of those. They should be write once, run away. Alright, let's try this one. But if I did A, B, C, and D, it would pretty much just give me 3 instances of A. And that's not what we want. Which it kind of works if you add in like a string and give it extra letters. I'll explain that all in a second. Parser, paste. This is all the threads and stuff going on. And this is super inefficient, so let's go ahead and cat the cat model. So it processed, and okay, I was gonna say this looks like on works. It didn't even put saying in there. Oh wait, did it? Yeah, it did. I just realized. That's amazing. Anyway. We're looking for instances of the same thing. Honestly, that's pretty difficult to do. But for most things, most words, it works. So we've gotten that far. Now let me go ahead and introduce the entire program in and of itself, what it's doing, and explain it all. So, basically, you got G shared G context, and that's made when you call the this constructor, or this constructor here. So this constructor makes args, and then boom, slapdicates it into string args and words. So you can pass args and words, potentially. Then all the way, well, it basically does parser.process. So it does that first, where it makes then the thingy, then thingamajib. It doesn't really matter, but what's going on in the section where it actually gets to parsing? Well, there's so much here. If I try to explain all this, it'd take like 5 fucking hours to explain. That's why it's bad, because it takes 5 hours to explain this program. But the main thing that is why it selects, like, whenever you put in parser A, B, and C, it's like, for example, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. O? Oh, shit. Never mind. I'm dumb. /parser. And, it found 13 instances of A, because they're all single. Nah, I get it, lol. Yeah. Yeah, I've written so much code here, I don't even want to explain all of this. Let's see. So it creates 13 instances of A. Now, I've tried to solve this by inserting this, but this does not help. I think what would help is some kind of index of every character instead of using the Unicode values of each character. And I wonder, like, for example, if I were to put in, like, cool and cool, are those two different in... Whoa. It defaults it to the regular value. What the hell? I've never messed with that before. Never messed with caps, but it handles them the same. I didn't even put in any handling for that. That's pretty cool. Interesting. Interesting. But they should be pretty close to the same value. Two interestings. And it will always put it as a capital, though. What about interesting? Ah, see? Found a different instance there. Although partially because of how this works, where it's using token, which is initialized as a length, I'm pretty sure. Yes, uint token is casts uint word.length, so then that's basically what's a bunch of operators are working on. So we're casting uint car and adding it to token, and then we're shifting it by j. So for each count of j, it's going to shift over. I got an entire game in one HTML file, even the soundtrack, all in one big file. All in one big one file. Big mistake when trying to find a bug. Yeah. See, like, I also don't even like how this program works because of how I designed it. It really doesn't work well. And handling each letter as a ASCII character, or no, what is it, UTF-8 character, gives us a good index of, like, where it's at, but, like, it doesn't really help when you have multiple different cases where it's like this. I think this is one of the times where I'd want it to handle these two. Like, I'd want it to handle this separately than, like, for example, this, which that's good. What if the lowercase is at the end? Ah, see? Cool with an L at the end. What about A versus A? It defaults to lowercase a. I have no idea why it's doing any of that. And then it also XORs by car. I guess that might be where it does it at. It might be just XORing the car, and if it's the same. But you see, since I can't really explain how most of this shit works because it's so fucking huge of a program, and I also just really want to rewrite it so I can use uint 8s instead, eventually. What even is a uint 8? Let's figure that out right now. Flatpak Brave. Uint 8 decompute. See, we'll eventually be working with decompute or IL GPU or something. Whoa. Int 8 FP8. Oh, floating point 8. Oh, that's probably for the brains. The GPU, the brains. I'm gonna bookmark this. I don't know what this is. Fundamentals of model quantization. I don't know. Oh god, it looks pretty math heavy because my brains don't work. But I'm not writing their programs, but instead of using the 32-bit floating point numbers, these values are to lower precision formats, most commonly 8-bit integers. Also, one of my goals will be to make it so it can use NPUs, even though at the end of the day I want to write some super high performance code that's going to do some super crazy shit. It's going to be better than what most people write in Python, I hope. I just got to learn a lot. But right now I've come up with my own system for handling the tokens and whatnot, and identifying different words, but it's not really fully complete. The idea is there in assigning random numbers, but also assigning them random 32-bit numbers. That's one of the things I should check is file.roll, right? So, oh, but I also don't have a hex editor installed, so we'll just not do that for now. Or just writing it out as a raw binary into the terminal. I think I can do that. You just gotta do, like, format it right. Which I don't really do that often. Scale S, a real... But it's also increasingly lower floating point. Okay. FPS, where S is, like, probably just some number. I know there's FP16, FP8, int 8. But these are like for weights and stuff. I feel like floating point is a terrible way to represent stuff as well. Because like, I feel like it's just an extrapolation to like a higher level. Or like floats. Whenever you do like a float, it's like, why do you need a float to do that? You could just do it with an int. Unless you just need division to work, but then why not just understand how to make that work yourself? Also, another big thing I was thinking of yesterday was, at the lowest level, the deepest level, I think it's not even the machine, it's understanding the silicon level itself, not the machine code. I think that's one of the most important things. Let's go ahead and get started on the rewrites. So, import standard dot write ln. I want to create a new data type that will handle our needs, and so let's kind of, why did I put that stdio colon write ln? Let's add a new one to kind of represent this, how I want it to look. So in a bin file, you'll have something like this, where you got your 32-bit numbers. You store 64 bits per line. And so, or actually, what was it again? Was it like that? Let me see. Do I even... Bro, I need a hex editor today. Hex editor Arch Linux. We'll pull it up. Vim also has hex files. Oversized link. Vim sucks hard for hex edit? Okay. Okay, it says sudo pacman-s for that. But anyway, this should be like what it looks like. I think this is what I remember. And you take two of these. Let's say this is U short. This is a byte. That's every byte should be the lowest representation. Each byte stores a UTF-8, and so somehow we have to create a unique identifier for every single potential. Well, UTF-8 already does that for us. So and we need to be able to handle, but like, how do we create the lowest level of? I think U short can handle the data type I want. Or my brains are not working, but or maybe I don't really understand what I'm doing. Or who cares? But this is what it would look like. So if we did file.roll right, we'll do that eventually, someday maybe. Let's import file, and we don't need lines, I don't think. For now, we're gonna ignore any of the concurrency stuff, although it's super useful. Clear. Let's go ahead and clear that out. But maybe the floating point math is used to like calculate what to do when it gets an input. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? We're going to create a class. It's going to contain the class's hash map. What's that called? Hash map. Hold on. That's a thing that just popped in my brain. hash map dlang. We'll look at the ddocs to figure out what this is. Associative arrays. Here we go. Associative array. But for hash mapping, to hash. You can make a hash map like this. To hash. Huh. Let's see. What is to hash though? Using classes as a key type. Classes can be used as a key type. This behavior is functions with class objects. I think the class will be the entirety of the... See, instead of using class like it's a storage container or storage unit for all the stuff going on, I'm using class wrong, I think. I think class will be to... for each, like, thing I wanted to do, I'll store it in a class. Because that's one of the things I think I always get wrong, is like, class isn't just a place to make all your code look clean. It's also a reference type, and can pass off inheritance and stuff like that. So it can pass off values. You can create an interface to make that happen. Let's see. What was a union again? I've never actually had a... I think union is something I just never used. To hash. Also, you can use operators too. You can define your own operators for a class, which is done using op-unary. So you can assign like plus plus. And it does something. SIMD. That's also interesting too. But I think at the end of the day, what we'll do is we'll end up handling everything as a 64-bit long. Also, gotta think about it, but like, there's so many words that exist that if we handle just words, assigning a random value to each word means that the potential that the word is like, and we're using the word as a but like if we assign a random value to each word, then what are we even doing at that point? Like runtime, actually import core dot run. Yeah, it's just runtime lowercase. And then just the runtime. Also, everything in this program, there's a lot of places where I just work around shit. So, you don't see many imports. Because a lot of stuff I was able to solve without even importing shit, which is good. The less imports you do, the better. That's my opinion. I think it might be invalid, though. But like, to make sure that everything is a unique value, you can't just be like, what is it called? You can't just have thingy, brain cell. Hold on. Actually, this will get imported in the main thing. Yeah, there. So let's remove this constructor for now, and what we're gonna do is pass that off. We're gonna create a. That's how we'll do it. So we'll create a G shared, and it will be for each context will have its own word, all that stuff. But hold on, in the main thing. Also, before we even get there, let's convert it functionally. Like, let's use a function. Convert the runtime args into like a standardized format. So let's focus on that. Let's not focus on the class for right now. Let's focus on getting that to work. Also save this as D. Okay. So that's what we're gonna do. Yeah, I forgot what I was trying to say, but also why am I looking at hash map? Hash maps are important though. Hash map programming. Python BP. What is D? It's a systems programming language. I mean, I don't really. PP. Let's see what they do in Python. The Python land. I feel like I'll take a look at the Python code and be like, oh my god, Python's killing me. Euclidean algorithm. Hash map is a form of hash table data structure that usually holds a large number of entries. Oh, wait. Associative array of arrays? Huh. Interacting with a hash map. Whoa, this is interesting. Oh, D-Lang, I've never heard of it. Yeah, D-Lang is neat. D-Lang is like C, but better C. I don't know. Ask Walter Bright, the creator. Oh, wow. What the hell? It's a modulus. Oh. Wait a second. This is something I never learned about. Bruh. W3 schools, bro. What the hell? DSA? What is DSA? Let's get this behavior in D-Lang. Let's do some GLSL if you know. I've done it like a little bit in the past. I don't think GLSL is very cool. Me personally, I think OpenCL-C is cool. I think GLSL hurts my brain. But we might use it. Depending on which library is better. Or maybe we won't use it. Maybe I'll just write my own shit. Because why? Why not? But then I'll have to... Then it won't be portable. Or we could use... 7? Oh. So it selects... This is really cool. So how does it know what index to put them to? Remove ads? I like how it says remove ads, but my browser just blocks all of the ads anyway. Where's D-Lang? What? W3 schools. Where's the D-Lang one? You have this weird DSA language, but usually holds a large number of entries. Using a hash map. Okay, let's go ahead and create a class for the hash map. Maybe not a class. But this is interesting. Or, I don't want to think object-oriented. Let's just start out with basics. Core.runtime args. We're going to take a string, and it's going to be from args. It's going to be a string array, by the way. String array args. Also, there was another one out there. What is it? Interesting stuff, but Encyclopedia Britannica has a section on, and this is like, I don't know. I want to learn about AI, bro. So they have a section on AI, and I read this one time, and they had a bunch of shit about, no. Definitions. History of AI. Because that's what we're gonna make. We're gonna make the ultimate AI. Oh, fuck, I fail. Fail every time, guys. Oh, never mind. History of this. Chess, Turing test. This shit's been around for ages. The idea's been there since, like, ancient times, bro. But it's just a different form now where it's a product. It's at its end game to become the product and replace people. But anyway, knowledge and interface, dendro, mycin, CYC, connectionism. Scrolling down, but this is a huge thing. Situated at Berkeley. Oh, like Berkeley software distribution. Expert system. Oh yeah, expert systems are interesting too. It's just like you train a computer off of like some stuff. Computers technology quiz. Do you know Sebastian Legge? No. I've never heard of that guy. He's a pro graphics programmer. Damn, I'm jealous. If you're a pro graphics programmer, you must be absolutely mental, because anything graphics just hurts my fucking brain. My limited brain cells can't handle that many things going on at once. Machine learning. Bro, why does it block ads everywhere but here? TikTok account featuring a deepfake of Keanu Reeves. Oh, that's good. Wowie. Wow. Risks. Control F. Language. There's programming languages that were developed for AI, but yeah, like Lisp processor. Whoa, that's cool. Oh, I forgot Lisp, bro. I didn't even realize. Graphics programming will burn your brain cells? Yeah, graphics programming will burn an image of a cube into my brain, like a CD disc. It will burn GLSL into my soul. HLSL. Ooh. Invented Turing machine. Turing test. But there was other ones. And they're like array languages, but Lisp processor. Maybe I'll check that out at some point for a video. Although I don't know. Also other ones. 2, 3, 4. This website had other ones listed though. Because there was a bunch of different languages that were specifically designed to handle the data in different ways. Like some languages had like, you could have an array where the array has multiple indexes, and so that's kind of what I want to go for, is to create that first. Handling that array is the first step. So we're gonna take runtime dot args and set it equal to also, this is gonna be how I handle the initialization stuff. Is gonna be in this runtime.args of 1 to end. Actually, for each arg, we'll take them and put them in their own thing, and we'll decide whether they go into the string args and where they go into the other one. So that's what I'm going to do first. Let's go ahead and figure that out. This, I have an idea in my brain to scope guard this, and I'm going to do that. Because that is what I should do first before I start handling the data. So we'll take string args, but also we're going to initialize another thing as well. I hope this is able to work. I have not tried this with arrays yet, but you should be able to do this. And words. Args and words are going to be separate. The words are going to be processed through the system and then created into maybe a struct array eventually. I don't know. Come up with some data type, but I want to avoid structs where possible and try to do things using the actual, using just a ulong. So we'll cast it to probably, well, we need to compress it down. We need to compress it like a lot somehow. But so here's the thing is like the AI models and stuff that exist are basically already doing that. So how do... They use it byte pair encoding. So that's how that works. There's a lot of information out there on it. Like this website here has some good stuff. But eventually you end up with some unique value that is assigned to each one of these. And then that's like the end game. So we're going to take a slice of... well, actually, we're going to do a for each, probably. You think the entirety of the US should switch to Arch? Yes. If the entirety of the US looks like this guy, they'll all be great Arch users. Anyway, continuing on. Let's see. So, for each, and then decide whether it's an arg or a word. So args will just be like stuff we'll process or send to the actual program to be able to do stuff later. So like you can do like, I don't know, instructions for the program to handle, and kind of important to have that available. Why am I doing this like this? What am I doing there? For each runtime.args, Microslop has to be defeated at some point. Yes. It's in the Great Prophecy, man. The prophecy of Linux Christ says that Microsoft will collapse in the year 2028, as well as the data centers. They don't listen to the Great Prophecy. That's what the AI lords don't do. Anyway, my brain cells are fried right now. Let me continue. Let's see. Could technically do IOTA. What does IOTA even do? I don't even know how the fuck that shit works. God damn. IOTA just takes like a range, right? And then you can go from like an index of the range to like another index of the range, for example. And then boom. So in parser.d I was using that. So let's see. IOTA from 0 to context.length. Which basically means then you can go from 1 to context.length. Also, how does that work? Does it like update that? But this is how you would create the a parallel process for this. And so that's optimal. However, if I do this, there's a couple things I need to consider. First of all, I have 2 string arrays, and I need to initialize them. And so anything I would write inside of this specific runtime, or whatever the hell this is. So there's a way I can do this without using task pool and avoiding that IOTA. And it'll be done using task. So we could pass to a task, right? So we will do for each I, which is going to be a ulong by default. And I'm going to pass... Let's go ahead and import our standard parallelism while I contemplate what I'm thinking about. Very careful. Oh, very carefully. Oh, by the way, it's not working today because I had to restart some things, but since we're working on AI, my super weapon, it's time for me to change my wallpaper. Which one's the best one? Archlord? It's No, stop it. We don't want that. Which one's the other one? Which is the good one? Wallpapers. Which one is the one I made? Todarch? Data maxing. There we go. We got Jensen Huang. I don't know how to say his name. Or what his name even is, bro. But he's Jensen NVIDIA selling me my fucking Blackwell GPU. I've always wanted one of these. Please give me this someday for a video. I'll do great things for you. Trust, bro. I will cook up a massive super AI for a video just for that. For 1 GPU, I'll make an AI for you. Thank you. Anyway, what is this? Why is that like that? Fix that. Standard dot parallel. Parallelism. And then task. You know, one of the things about programming that I'm starting to realize is that, you know, when you do something one time, you miss a lot of things. You miss a lot of the key details. Did you know Windows has a special edition called LTSC? It's for businesses. I mean, I kind of knew about that. One of my friends told me about that a while ago. That friend was crazy, and they overclocked some kind of CPU. I don't remember. I was, like, really dumb back then. I had no idea. Bro, the only thing I cared about back then was just playing video games. Now I care about the things that really matter. Building a super quantum AI. This is the most important task. And playing with computers. And building a massive data center. So I can be like Mark Zuckerberg. And Meta. That should be everybody's endgame goal. Honestly. Continuing on. So, for each of those, you can... I think you would have to use task pool if you want them all to execute at the same time. That's the easy way to get them to all execute at the same time. But, you could do this and call task instead. This is not the best way of doing it, though. So anyway, word, or mem. That's a member. We'll call it member for now. So, actually, index. Call it an index since it's a array. So we'll pull the indexes, right? We're going to use index. Actually, index is going to be passed to another function, a helper function, which is going to be... I'll put all my functions at the bottom. No, only VLang lets you do that. Go back. Void. What am I gonna call this? Init worker. Init worker is gonna take a... This also has a lot more pass off than you have with task pool, but it's a lot simpler for me to understand. I usually use task. Task is technically a type, but not really a type. It's like weird. It's like some weird stuff going on with that one. Auto. Do thing. So do thing is going to be like our kind of reference or whatever this is. To task dot, or task init worker. Which is going to do a lot of the initial stuff. I think you can do this with lambdas as well, where you put a lambda in there. Although I'm not really familiar with lambdas and I've only really used them a little bit. So init worker, the next task, or next thing for me to do afterwards is figure out what we're going to pass to it. We're going to pass the index, or string index. And this is where all of the initialization code to build our data structure is going to begin. I'm not really sure what that's going to look like yet. But then we're going to hand it off to a class at some point. So that way I'm integrating both functional programming and object-oriented programming. Since you can use both. That's kind of messy, but... I mean, ideally, I like functional programming better. It's way simpler and you typically don't need a class. However, a class can be really useful. And I have been enjoying that object-oriented grind set lately. Especially with Jester 2.d, where the class constructor does a lot of the stuff. This is my best work, if you don't know where to get it yourself, by the way. just to make sure that everybody knows to go and get my great work, I'll go ahead and show you all where it's at. It's on Jester. Actually, it's on Codeberg. Wow. Wowie. Wow. This might be a really big file, by the way. Just to let you all know. Take me to the releases. God damn it. I need the releases. The V1 rocket. Sudo, please enjoy. Yes, why not? No, go to the... Yes, go to the releases. Yes. Yes. What even is this program, by the way? Well, this is a tool for C++ and Java developers. So it helps you write better Java and C++ code by berating you, okay? Just keep that in mind. Every time you run /jester2, the Jester program is... we'll call one of these or we'll do all these, and it will make fun of you for using a shitty language like those. For example, Jester2 Java is for... Oh, actually, Jester is still working. Ooh. Jester2 Java. Using Java for serious jobs is like trying to skin off a rice pudding wearing boxing gloves. Yes. And because I really hate C++ devs, the C++, you have to type out both pluses. It's not C++. So because I hate those C++ devs, which we won't even say the word anymore, the most, they have to type it out themselves, the full thing, so that way they realize how shitty it is to say it. Instead, why not do something like C# or, you know, C-, since it makes it fucking worse. It's a downgrade. It's probably the only programming language where the error message can be longer than the program. Wow. Anyway. Index, and we're going to take a ulong. Typically, I don't like using ulongs a lot, because what if we only have 256 words? Or like, what if we only have, like, the smaller data type better on memory usage? Nice wallpaper of NVIDIA. Thank you. This is the NVIDIA gate. I need one for AMD for my other system. We set up a Optiplex yesterday, and it was a pretty cool episode. I think we should use that. No, don't do that. Stop it. Hopefully I'll have time to play some Half-Life this morning before I go to do stuff. Let's see. Ulong. Wait, what am I doing? First, think about it. This also needs to be ID. So I'm taking the I for the ID, and then each one of these will then pass it back into the index in a G shared. Now that's interesting too. At this point, we need to pass them. This is a constructor for a class. See, it'd make more sense to put that in a class if we're going to use G shared. God damn it. This is what I like about programming, is I'll write like some code and I'll be like, yeah, now I need to rewrite it so I can make things work. We're just gonna call this thing context. It's gonna be like this, then. Bro, I just full screen again. I'm getting too used to other I've been cheating on my keyboard lately. And so, because I've been using other keyboards instead of this one, I'm starting to forget how to use this one. Let's take this and put it up here. G shared makes anything thread accessible. So like amazing stuff. This is the constructor. And to call that, we'll just do auto context equals context. Auto is at compile time, it will define the type. It's kind of like an intrinsic. I'm not sure if that's what it actually is, but I just learned it as auto. I was never told it's intrinsic. What is the specs? Oh, I can show you. How this looking? Bro, my desktop environment is so crazy. Desktop environment goes hard, bro. I'm using Xorg, by the way. Oh, wow. Dell. I like Dell, bro. We got Dell Optiplex now. Bro, the Dell Optiplex with the i5 core is cooking. I wonder if I can swap the CPU on this thing to the i5. I have another i5 processor on my desk right now. It's waiting. It's a Gen 4 i5. Imagine if we swapped out the one of those Optiplexes to use the 16 core variant. Oh my god. Then I'd have 32 gigabytes of RAM and a processor that can use it. And well, it'd be DDR3 RAM, and I don't know if that, I don't think that my 11th gen processor might support it. I don't know. Shoving an 11th gen processor into the fucking 4 gen computer? Question mark. We need Xeon. Nice. My first PC has Ryzen 9 790 3060 64 gigs of RAM and 4 terabytes of M2 storage. Bro, I'm jealous right now. Those are big specs. But this is the NVIDIA PC. We also have the Void setup. I could turn that one on right now. It's got dual AMD GPUs. And I was actually planning to do OpenCL stuff with that one. Which I also got that thing before the shortage. And then also, well, you can say shortage, but we all know what it is. It's called, what is it called? What's the word that starts with a C, but I don't remember what it is. It's like, yeah, I don't remember the word. It's called, like, Monopoly or some shit. But, anyway. This calls do thing task init worker. And now it's like, well, you can't really call init worker from here. Because otherwise, you're calling thread local stuff. It'd have to be a static. So you can't do a static to call that. But what you can do is do a lambda instead. But we don't want to do that, I don't think. Unless this is called outside of the program. Or not here. But that will basically... there's a lot of things to think about with this. Because when you use stuff in classes, then you end up running into problems where... problems that wouldn't normally exist with task. Because task can't call, for example, this .init worker, but it can call init worker. So if init worker is defined here, but then it can't access the class data. So data stored in the class, if we had G shared, for example, a G shared array where the index is it G shared like this? Yeah. G shared static. Now that also limits access because now every context is sharing static. But that might be good. So there's some stuff to consider with that. So I guess we'll call it static, and we'll have the worker be static. Now, the implications, obviously, I've already discussed, but now we have string. Also, that means if it's static, it's going to be accessible anywhere inside of the class. Anything outside of it probably can also access it too. I usually am going to put the purple one up at the top since it's going to be kind of global pretty much. Static void init worker. And this is basically saying that, so the other alternative is instead of doing it static, we return a value and then assign that value. Now, that makes things complicated as well. Then you're starting to deal with passing returns, and you'll have to start using concurrency to do sends, and use spawn to do that, pretty much. You spawn, send, receive, TID, and then we're dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. I want to try to limit that by assigning the ID in the for each, and then just using task to create the instance. And then, of course, do thing needs to be .execute a new thread. So that's going to happen. And once that happens, boom. Do thing, execute a new thread, boom. We're going to save this. Let's go up a layer. Fish AI 2. Oh? That's not how it's... Open containing folder. Thank you, Thunar. Oops. Rename. Actually, create folder. Yeah. Actually, Fish AI 1. Create it. Put that in there. Rename this. Call it Fish AI 2. Nah, call it Fish AI 1.d. What? Rename that. Oh wait, you know why I can't rename it? It's in here. Close file. Open, open the file. The Fish AI files. Alright, file, save as Fish AI 1.d. There we go. Nice. We're back. So back! Oh yeah. Currently watching this on a Dell Inspiron 1500 from 2000, by the way. Damn, I'm jealous. I wish I could upgrade to that. Dell Inspiron from 2000. That would be an upgrade, honestly. See, here's one of the things I think is that, like, a lot of times I'll use hardware and I'll be like, this hardware is too powerful for what I need. Like, I don't game. I play Doom. That's the most game I play, besides Minecraft. Oh, I guess that is really a modern game. But I mean, that's just shitty because it's built off Java, and Notch wasn't the world's greatest programmer. He was exceptional as a programmer, but from what I understand, he didn't really know what he was doing. Maybe? I don't know. I can't really say that. I don't really know what I'm doing. I feel like that's pretty standard, pretty typical. I just kind of show up and then said, yeah, I'll figure it out eventually. And sometimes I do figure it out. And then I learn something, and then that's the whole point of these videos, by the way, is that I learn stuff. Probably gonna be a string array, unless I do something else later. Why would I do that? Why would I? What world would I do that in? For now, we'll just call it Data. Sure. Yeah. Especially C++ devs. Oh, I said it again. Oh god, that language. We're only gonna refer to it as CXX for now on, because I can't say that word again. It's lame. C++. Data. Some great naming. That's also stereotypical naming. Init worker, do thing that execute in new thread, and then what's next? Call it fish data. Not right now. String index. So this basically has to determine whether or not each one is gonna go into this and what index it's gonna go into. Why am I putting them back into the index though? Wouldn't it just be a G shared on those? For args and word? Call it initial. Yeah, let's call this initial instead of context. We'll call it init. For now on, I will refer to this as init. So init, yes. That's a great name for it. Since all it's really going to do is create my args and then pass them off to something else, not as G shared. So that way they can be this can be garbage collected and destroyed and disposed of, so I don't have to deal with that living in the memory for so long. Alright. We'll call this static. G shared. That way I also have the potential to actually try to do class inheritance, unlike the other programs. Oh. Where also I usually do G shared then static. Alright, we need to switch up the background. I think it's not cooking enough right now. Usually I do this automatically when I go from one side of the stream to the other, but I don't have it set up today, so. Where is it at? Wallpapers, bro. Wallpapers. Linus Tolvold Del Weiss. Oh, yeah. Bro, this is the Aperture Labs portal background. This one's significantly awesome for programming. Nice, now we're cooking. Yes, today we're cooking today. This is the ultimate Linux background. I made it myself. I just took an Aperture Labs background and then slapped, Portal 2 background and then just slapped the fucking Arch Linux dude in the portal. And then I burned a tux into the image. And then I also put BTOP for a system with like 6 bajillion cores, since that's what really matters. See, some people think that like a bunch of like non-important things matters, but at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the amount of cores you own, and specifically CUDA cores, or the amount of servers. That's how you can measure net worth. How many servers? I own all servers. Yes. Computers. Core count. I don't know. G shared string. I mean, I'm not technically wrong there. I don't think I'm technically wrong. G shared static string args. Why was I doing this again? Oh, right. I wanted to parallelize processing the fucking argument and then writing it out. String index ulong ID. Do we really need an ID? So here's what's going to happen. We're going to call this. If it's not in one of those, we're going to put it in there. Right? We don't need ulong ID. That was for some like getting it on an array. Do we need I? I don't think we need I. We're going to pass off index to the worker. That's what we're going to do. See, you get what matters in APC. Yeah, core count. Everybody's like, big GPU, more RAM. Nah. The more cores you have, the faster you can compile. The more cores you have, the more fun you can have. Clock speed? Nah, man. core count. I want that super parallel Xeon 6 with 255 cores that has 32 threads per core and is used in data centers to process AI. I want that for my PC. But unfortunately, I can't get that right now until it's not on eBay yet. Not on eBay for the cheap yet. But it is on eBay. There is 72 core right now. I saw one. It's like $6,000 though. I'm like, bro, I'm not doing that. That's too risky. Also, I don't have $6,000 on hand for that. But we need it. We need it. Those Xeons. I'm getting lost. Anyway, I figured out one thing. Like, I do one thing for every word I say. For every 1,000 words I generate in my mind. I do one task in the process of designing this thing. So, we need to determine if... Could I do it with a case? No, I don't want to... We can just do it with an if. It's not complicated. If. So we're going to take an if, and we're going to use... Oh, actually... Oh, okay. So index is a string, right? It's an array of cars. If index of 0 equals the car dash, then put it in the other one. But if it's not that, so else, then delete that. If I were to learn C language, which one would you suggest? I know Python, HTML, JavaScript, TypeScript. I don't know, like D-lang. I suggest D-lang. D is just better C. You can compile to better C. There's also V, but people tell me V is cringe. So, I don't know about that one. There's also Odin, which is pretty cool, but honestly, if you want to get like into C, then learn C. I think Rust is the next cool big thing though. Or it's the next Java, honestly. I think, in my opinion, Rust is the next Java. It's going to be a failed corporate product for sure. It's going to be like that. Except it's not corporate, really. It's going to be a failed Rust product. Finally finished my install. Never again. What did you install? Was it Void? Was it Arch? Tell us about your installation. GNOME? Was it the GNOME? I'm curious. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna just append it to args. But needs to be done in order, so that way it's in the correct position. This is gonna create really out of order stuff, but I'll demonstrate what it's gonna do by just... For now, args is gonna be out of order, and words are also gonna be out of order. So, words is gonna append that, and then boom. We're just gonna append index to those. So that's how we handle that. And then I'll have to learn about fucking handling off stuff. As I'm in cybersec, something about Rust makes me question it. Also, I monthly install Arch Linux from the ground up, so it's so much fun. Yeah. I was doing that for a little bit, and then I was like, yeah, I've done this too many times, I think the audience is getting bored, but really the audience doesn't get bored because they just like this shit. And so do I. So I guess I guess is where I'm at with that. cd /. Alright. ls dmd fish 1 property opcall equals new init. Because that was doing an op unary, basically. So, also I don't really have a thing that works with this, but let's go ahead and write out what even is init right now. So after we call init, it should create a string, or well, two G-shared static strings, right? And let's go ahead and do that. So dot slash, and we're gonna pass off a dash thingus does things. Oh, okay. But we should be able to write out init dot string, or no, dot args, and init dot words. Put a pipe between them so we know what they are. Nothing. Okay. Thingus does things. It's not working right. Let's see where it fails. So it calls this. Let's write ln for the worker. So we'll write ln worker. Oh, not worker. What am I doing? Write ln. Just put a string in there that just says worker. Just to see that it's making it into that thread. 3 workers were called, but no things happened. So either it's not accessing the static G-shared, or it's never reaching index. Let's try writing out the index. So each one is handling one single string. Question, remind me again, what's the point of the program you're making? My end goal is to be able to create a unique identifier for every single word that exists. I hope that summarizes it. That way I can then process it. But I also want to do it and make it to where it's a easy to use data type for me. Something I can convert into uint8 and other types and stuff like that, so I can use it with GPUs for maximum parallelism, because that's like the ultimate goal. Stream. And then we're gonna build the world's greatest AI together, live on stream. It's gonna happen. I've been teasing at it for months, but with my various projects, I think I'm ready to take it on. Especially now that we're reaching new levels such as Jester 2, where I'm not afraid to touch class programming, like object-oriented stuff. Class in it. And then we're gonna use inheritance on this one as well. So this will be passed off to another one, but instead of inheriting G shared, it will be like we take this and like maybe pass it to a constructor or something and make it look pretty. I don't know. It's gonna look amazing. I think that's what with Java. I'm gonna turn into a Java dev eventually, and then I'll be like, oh god, I hate my life because I just decided to touch object-oriented programming and. Well, that was my fears originally, but now I'm like, no, I'll just stay a D developer and then I'll be fine. So, why does it not work? If index of 0, write ln index 0. Let's see what that is. This is the question. So yeah, also they're out of order, by the way, because of how threads execute. Because it's a separate program, it's going to execute in a different order, potentially. That's one of the things that kind of matters. And when you don't have an exact index of where args and words are, well then, obviously splitting them out into 2 arrays, you kind of can't just put them in the same position. Because if string args doesn't have the same length, also depends on how we use the args. Well, I've been making my own AI that's basically dumb but still helpful. Been month 3, my current project. Oh. I didn't read all of that. That's my bad. Words. Let's see. Words appends index. Let's try setting words of I. Why doesn't it make it into this else? If it does, if it fills that, then it should just append it to words. So if args appends that, then words should do this. Why would I want to even have args? A new question. Why have args? Maybe args are good for something. I don't know. Message retracted? I have no idea. I don't know why it got removed. It was not me. Maybe they censor AI? Or what did you write in it? Maybe it included something they didn't like? I don't know. See, God is weird. God at YouTube is weird, bro. He's like, yeah, let's not like, let's not let them talk about hackering big bad. YouTube overlords, bro. Maybe it's because I'm putting it in this. But obviously index of 0 is gonna equal that if it gets at one of these. So the thread isn't really sending it out. It's getting called correctly though. What I was saying was I got shaders to run in the background of my Windows 11 terminal. Oh, that's pretty cool. Actually, that's insane. Let's try declaring that as G-shared. Wait. Maybe it's not finished execution by the time this is calling that. This does not need to be G-shared, but that'd be crazy if I G-shared a fucking void function. Let's see. Oh, there's also other ways of doing things too. There's so many ways to do stuff here. Which one's gonna be amazing? Let's go back to this one. For maximum Linus maxing. Super programming. Ugh. Auto init equals new init. And then let's just add a function that just gives us what those are. So we'll just do void write_ln or void print. No, just do init write_ln. Write. What do I call it? Dump. Yeah, just call it dump. I want to dump it to my terminal. Sure, why not? Dump is gonna get called. It's gonna write ln. It's gonna write ln args and words. Do that, and then put words afterwards. Words. Warts. Nah, we don't want that. Oh, that'd be terrible, bro. Save that. Inits dot dump. Should do everything I wanted to do. It's weird to do it like this, though. Okay. Oh. Those are returning afterwards. So it's just because it's not waiting on those? It needs to wait until the total length of both string args and the other one. So let's see. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, but then we need to pass it off. So to do that, which desktop environment? Glad you asked. Here, I'll just fast fetch it for you. Oops. Don't mind the Java stuff at the bottom. Noise. 24-inch. 60 hertz external. Wowie. Whoa, it's been up for 7 hours, bro. How the hell? 8 flat pack? Where'd those flat pack packages come from, bro? Oh, I'm using 5 gigabytes of memory for my streaming. Wowie. 1.45 gigahertz. Closing this at this time. The fast fetch completes a dump. So we're gonna run dump, but we need to wait on that. So how do we do that? We put it in the constructor. Okay, yeah, we'll just do that. While we're gonna take the lengths and we're just gonna put a while and put it a wait here. While args dot length plus words dot length does not equal what was it? Runtime.args from there to that? Huh. Maybe we pass off I, because every time it goes, it's going to increment it. But anyway, does not equal that, then just does not equal runtime. Yeah, runtime capital. Runtime.arg or .args .length -1. Wowie. Same thing, basically. Then do nothing. Put the do nothing command, aka scope for nothing. And as you can see, I fixed it. So it just waits for args.length and that.length to equal runtime.length, and then it gives us that. So it gives us thingus. So let's say I have 2 dashes though. Dash amogus. Oh? What? See, dash thingus was out of one of the threads didn't return. Maybe I executed it too fast and it didn't let me generate the thread. I don't know. Sometimes it just decides to get stuck. So I think part of that is that it's less than or equal to, well, is less than. If it ever returns equal to or greater than, then that's when we need to do stuff with that. So here we go. And as you can see, they're going to be out of order. Now that's a problem. So that's going to be handled in init worker. So what we need to do is pass, we actually do need to pass the ulong I to my init worker. So that way it's able to do it well. So let's see. We're going to pass I. It's going to be index comma I. And that's going to be ID, not I. So it's not just I. It's going to be ID. But you're going to just do I here. Pass I as ID. And then we now need to determine where it's going. So we need a count of how many there are, or we need some other way to determine where it's going. Or we just put them in the array and then we just clean it up later. I suppose, but we just need to get them in the right order. Or we put them with a struct. Or we just don't care. I mean, honestly, who really cares if they're in the right order? As long as we don't need to depend on the order. But what if one portion, like, for example, what if we had dash... Well, at that point, why would we create two anyway? What's the point then? We just do it all in series. We just... No point. So let's just say that it doesn't matter. We're not going to use those for anything that's not going to be parallel. You could just put them in C++ question mark. Nice. No, here's what I think about that statement. Don't say it. Don't say... Yeah, this is what I think of that statement. Jester 2, C++. C++ is history repeated as tragedy. Java is history repeated as farce. Whenever the C++ language designers had two competing ideas as how they should solve some problem, they said, okay, we'll do them both. So the language is too baroque for my taste. Very good. I mean, he's not wrong. He's actually very right. I'm pretty sure there's like 8 different ways of doing some things, but there's only one right way to do it, depending on what you're doing. Like, at that point, you may as well just write all the assembly yourself, because then you could be like, well, this works better this way, because I'm writing it in assembly. I can actually see what I'm doing. But assembly is also cringe and super difficult. It hurts my brain cells every time we revisit that idea. For now, let's just get the IDs to work. Oh god, I'm still making fun of C++. Things is after it gets to that. See, yeah, it gets stuck. It gets stuck because it doesn't know where Thingus is at. C++ is a dumpster fire, but it performs though. It only performs if the person writing it is competent. If I were to start writing C++ right now, I'd probably write the world's shittiest program in 5 seconds. Bro, I just keep slapping that button on accident. Whoops. This one. Trying to see if I can fix it. Okay, I think that's gonna permanently break it. Alright, try this. So it works sometimes. Don't say that word. If you say it, Linus will come after you, and you will never be the same or something much worse. No, you'll be part of the desktop environment. You'll be the guy in the background, bro. Well, but the other guy in the portal. It'll be this guy, or that guy, or something. Be stuck in the fucking portal dimension. Trapped. Trapped in the portal dimension. Out of the Linux heaven. The creaton of Linus. It's AI generated with human augmentation. For example, originally, it did not have Black Arch, but then I gave it Black Arch, and then also gave it Portal. So now it's the world's greatest augmentation of what the AI can produce. It's the human enhancement. Right ln index. They execute so out of order that, like, does was executed after it wrote the line for index. Or for everything. See, now this is why you use task pool instead of doing while args.length. Or you do standard.concurrency, which is shitty and slows everything down, in my opinion. Because then you're like, well, now I'm waiting on threads to send. args.length plus words.length equals runtime.args.length minus 1. And so if it doesn't get there just in time, it just goes, yeah. I guess we could do is not greater than. How would you do is not greater than? Maybe we do not runtimes dot length minus 1. But that's also like is not this, but then if greater than exit. So inside the scope. Yes, now we have a scope. But this is me avoiding task pool. Linux bloated, switch to free BSD, Lamau. We love our slopped up terminal. I can't argue with that. FreeBSD is actually pretty tempting sometimes. I'm tempted by FreeBSD. My FreeBSD temptations, bro. Let's see. Okay, so let's see if, Well, we need to either have an I++ and create a for loop. Okay, maybe what I should do is use the task pool instead of being a fucking jackass. But I like this way better. I'm sorry, I'm being a jackass by doing this. Let's implement task pool. So that way it's not a pain in the ass. And it just works. Task pool. Task pool does out of order execution as well. It's just better because you can for each it. So you would do for each task pool. And I've barely used task pool. And then, let's see. But then I have to implement IOTA. I don't think I want to implement IOTA. I think I've gotten away without doing that in some places. But no, it just says from IOTA. Oh, that's the other reason. I wasn't sure if it'd work. And the other way we were doing it was working really well. It just needed a bit of refinement, I would say. I guess IOTA's fair. Don't take the time, don't take the time and don't use it. Why? What do you mean? Yeah, it would take me more time to not use task pool, I think. Anyway. Implement IOTA. Where's that? Parser. Let's see. Needs this stuff. Then you go to the dot length. Now here's the thing, I don't think it will work. Let's go back. Let's undo what I just did. It was a mistake. Consider that dumb. Consider that was a bad idea. Task pool, bad. Use task. Alright, then we'll just... I think it'd be easy if I found... Alright, so we're gonna wait for... Let's do a for loop instead. For... This requires me to initialize a value, but we'll do for uint ulong maybe ulong I equals 0. You don't really have to initialize anything really. And then, well, in this case specifically, you could technically just do ulong I, but I usually do this because it's safe bet usually. Safe bet. It usually works if you do this. Sometimes it won't work if you don't initialize. Or you need to use Arch, it's better. At this point, I don't know. ++ I. Then you implement all of your stuff inside of this. So we need to create a way of... Okay. So this is like saying while not equals, and then you also have to have an and in here. And I, wait, is not greater than the length of args. So runtime, what was it? Runtime.args. Dot length -1. And that's gonna go in 2 places. Prepare for this absolute joy, which I am producing. And then also... this one. This line's gonna be longer than what you should normally do for a line, I think. It's gonna do that, by the way. But anyway, that's the for loop I'm gonna use, essentially, in a for loop in a nutshell. Words.length does not end args.length. Alright, go back to here. Let's go ahead and put that inside these. This is way too long of a line, but I think that's gonna do the trick. Now it's still out of order because it's not even waiting. It just goes and does nothing. I does not equal runtime, or and I is not greater than. Did I just put a... okay. Alright, that should make it wait until everything is done. Or you need to take both of them combined. I mean, before we were doing it correctly. So instead, let's switch it back to the while. Wow. Undetermined at this... I don't... We could also do send, and then send all are done once we have 4 dones received. Oh, hey. I just realized. Let's just do that. Once we have 4 dones, we're good. So, you would just add them to the G-shared static, maybe. Or G-shared... Does it need to be static? Probably. Static. I'm feeling lucky. Let's just go G shared and then give it a view short. And then we're going to assign the values. Add to the index. Or not to the index. Add to the U short. It's going to equal threads. And it's going to equal 0 by default. So it's already initialized. We're going to go ahead and... Every time a thread is done, it's going to minus from threads. If threads equals 0, that's when you can do the other thing. But it might need to be static. I'm just trying to get it to not be static. So for each of those, and it's going to also plus threads every time it creates a new worker. Well, actually, before the worker even starts, plus the threads. That way, we also can keep a track on how many threads there are currently. So this, then we have our eval in the middle. Actually, yeah, write ln. We'll put a write ln here. We'll call it threads. Put threads in here. What did I just do? Shift T? Oh. T-reds. Nice. Everything's got a semicolon. Noise. Not greater than. Could you just use not less than or not equal to? I'm stupid. Something like that. Some eval is gonna happen. Actually... Yeah, wall of threads does not equal 0. Oh, this is way easier now. While threads does not equal 0, do nothing. So while threads does not equal 0, does nothing. So anytime threads does not equal 0, do that. Okay. Threads 0. Does it even enter? It does. Oh. What if... So it's just so fast at executing that... But then, where's it writing that? While threads does not equal 0, it should just wait. Maybe we call this dot init dump, or no, yeah, just make it static. Sure. At that point, I might as well just make it part of the constructor. Alright, then, Thingus and things. How did that happen? It did not reach the, endpoint, pretty much. What the hell? Well, threads does not equal 0. Actually, well, threads is greater than 0. Then, I love Kate sometimes. Kate's the best. Nope. I love this stuff. Wall of threads is greater than 0. Stop. So, what am I... I'm thinking of the logic wrong. I think that's what I'm doing. Hold on. I'll figure that out in a second. Let's make it init.dump again. And not do it in the constructor like a fucking weirdo. I remember that one program where we just used the fucking constructor for the main entire thing. The entire thing was done in the constructor in one of my programs. What? I broke something. New init? Oh. Yeah, jolly good day, and it's truly amazing. That's kind of working, but it's still while threads is greater than 0. While threads does not equal 0, and then let's put a right ln threads. Oh, I'm kind of dumb. Put that in there like that. Thingus, thread 0. It doesn't even hit the while loop, does it? By the time it reaches the while loop, they've finished that. So... maybe workers, or maybe it's not even getting updated. Threads. And obviously after this is finished, it's gonna... Unless we had send and receive. Oh my god, I've made things worse by not using task pool from the start. That's fine. I'll figure this out. Bro, parser.d is like way farther along than fishaai2.d. Parser.d, maybe we should just stick with this shit. I know this is bad though, because it's fucking terrible. It doesn't work for single letters, and it doesn't meet my goals of having it be able to handle as uint 8. Maybe. So while threads does not equal 0. Let's remove the right ln. Save that. Still executing beforehand. Let's try static. Try making it static. I bet it's actually not updating it. And somehow it's not even throwing like any exception. Okay. What is threads right here? What is threads at that very moment? Zero. 0 threads. Makes sense though. Also, you could technically put them into an array, but I don't know if I want to do that. Anyway, args words. The problem is that these are doing that, though. So if threads gets updated, and let's see. I mean, they're all getting called, but they all end up out of, well, that's fine. Out of order execution is okay. Just, it has to get into, like, I have to have it wait. That's the problem, is that it's not waiting for them to complete. And then writing the line. Maybe the while threads does not equal 0 part goes in void. And that's how it happens. And then you remove static. While threads does not equal 0, wait. So if I call that from the main program, I should be waiting on the threads to be 0. Huh. Let's see what happens after we add to threads. I think that's a major portion I'm missing right now. Zero, 1, 2, 1, 1. Oh, because it's G shared. It needs to be separate. So for each I does the thread adding. Because the first thread completes, because they're out of sync, that's what's happening. So instead of doing the for each I like that, plus plus inside your for each loop, that gives you the threads. The threads will work now. And of course, I do like the calling init from the actual, calling that while loop from here, so it doesn't actually have issues when I go to dump. That is what I was doing wrong. See? Now does it wait correctly though? It does. Because it waits for it to be 0 before it writes. So even if Amogus out of sync, let's see how it handles a massive amount of input. lot of words. Please work. Please work. Sudo. Please work. Let's see, did they all end up in the final output? Thingus amogus. Things please lot work work does words work please sudo please. Count 3 pleases. Also, they're mostly in order. One of the things that we could do to make it better would be if we sorted these and had them sorted by like an index value, and also append them into, it's a lot of work. It's perfect. We could have got like the in order stuff, but now how do we use this? Well, class init gets us started with our with that, and then we just need to pass it off really to another program or another class that will handle that, and turn all of this into usable data for what I'm planning. So the next one will be the generator, class generator, and it's gonna inherit from this. I'm gonna call this class generator. Let's see. Maybe index parser. I guess we'll call it parser. Why not? It's just gonna parse those into thingies. Now we need to figure out class inheritance though. There's a lot of stuff going on with this. So I don't actually know much about object-oriented stuff, but what I do know inheritance, that one. Nope. Overview. So you need like interfaces and stuff. Lots of stuff. But you can pass down stuff from a class. Let's see. Also class.dump or void.dump. Let's go ahead and make this version dev maybe? Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, it is what it is. So that's just gonna do that. Do I have any other weird places where I did write ln? Let's go ahead and remove that, because I'm not gonna need that there anymore, hopefully. Usually I include these as like a feature in for a version build, but I'm not gonna do that because it's messy. It's part of my gripe about fucking parser.d was that I was doing that. .tupleof property provides a symbol sequence. Honestly, I might just pass it off by doing... Right. Inheritance isn't really what I need. I just need to pass it off to the thing. I don't think I need inheritance at all. It'd be nice, but we can now just pass off the arrays. Args. And then, yeah, do that. String array. Args, comma, words. And then the first part of this is how are we going to get those? We're going to get them from the other class using a class constructor, I think. This is going to take a instance of init and init. Why not? Let's see if we can take the init instance and hand off his shit to this one, and then use this dot args equals init dot args, and then that's how the constructor will work for this. Passing off. Couldn't I just declare that there's a new parser and it's... I guess this is... because it wouldn't be G-shared, it can't do that. I don't know. Usually, if I don't know, I like to experiment to figure it out, but let's see how that works. Will this compile? And then also put a void called dump, and then just make it write out args and words. Paste. I mean, I'm sure I could inherit those into these. The problem is type conversion would be kind of concerning because they're declared as G shared and static. I'm worried that I wouldn't be able to bring them into this because I'm not going to have them as G shared and static inside of the parser. That's what I'd be worried with. Let's see, declaration errors and stuff. Let's see where those are at. Should be stuff. Oh, I'm kind of dumb. I declared it as a type, not a... Technically, you can do void dumps, or void types. Let's go ahead and do auto parser. Or actually, yeah. Parse. New parser. Maybe interfaces are what I need, though. Let's try it with interfaces. Like, let's... Well, if we get it working with this, maybe we'll switch it to that afterwards. But I just want to see that this works, and then I'll try it from there. I want to learn something today. Let's try init. And pass off an init class to another class to process this data. Let's see. That actually works. That actually just works. Okay. And then parser.dump. So you can do that. I mean, it is just a reference type. Yeah. There we go. I've switched from G shared to not G shared on those. You could technically just do everything in here. However, I could just also inherit from the original class in it. And these would need to be static. Probably also public. Let's actually go back and look at that inheritance page, because it really does have a lot of stuff that we'll need to look into. Member functions, aka methods. Okay, synchronized classes. Each member of a function can be synchronized. Is implicitly member function is synchronized on the class info object for the class. That means that one monitor is used for all static member functions that are synchronized in a class. For non-static functions of a synchronized class, so like, what is that? Like, it means like what? I don't even know. Oh, we'll figure that out later. I don't think it's what we need. Class instantiation. That's for this constructors. Delegating constructors, restrictions. Implicit base class constructors. Instantiation process. Constructors, pure constructors. Field initialization inside a constructor. Opposite. Oh yeah, you could just do class equals this instead of, if you wanted to declare it differently, we could just use op_unary to call the constructor. But that's lame. Let's not do that. It's a terrible idea. Deconstructor. Detour. destroy. The deconstructor function is called when auto foo equals new foo. Oh. You just use destroy on it? Static constructors and deconstructors. So a constructor that can be accessed anywhere, shared class. Bro, this is why object-oriented programming hurts people's brains. You got all these funny words, but it's brain cells. Nested classes? Nested classes. Wow. Classes. Static nested, context pointer. I like pointers. They point to things. Outer property. Pretty cool stuff. Anonymous. Anonymous. Yes. Anon classes. 4chan. The anonymous 4chan, bro. Const, immutable, and shared classes. Okay. So, like... I mean, I guess a const class would be like something you'd inherit properties from for some reason, and you just don't change them. I don't know. Don't really know why you want that. I guess that's a thing. Where's interfaces, though? Interfaces. Those determine what can be passed to another class. Actually, I just need to see examples of class inheritance. This is not even the documentation. Let's go and let's search class. Yeah, that's the spec, not the documentation. This, spec, class, spec, interface, spec, spec, specs, attributes. Let's see if there's anything on Stack Overflow. D-Lang classes, D-Lang tour, overview. I have some good videos on classes, although... Anyway, we're gonna use that, then we're gonna just see what happens when I call destroy. Since that's something else I want to do. So after we create parser from init, we're just gonna call init.destroy. I wonder if I could do that from the other one. See about that. Actually, destroy init. Let's see. I guess it just worked. It doesn't even really do too much. But anyway, I guess you could technically do init.destroy with parameters around the other part using universal function calling. Nice. But anyway, that gets us to here. So now I have parser. Or am I able to call the destroy from inside of the constructor? That would be very good. Let's see if that can compile and also run without throwing an exception. So yeah, it creates a duplicate. Whoa, whoa, what's going on there? It's calling it out of order again. So what just happened? So here it's working. I see like 3 pleases. Oh, it's not working. It's still doing that. Leave that. Colon inherit class name? We could try that. But then it would inherit them as G shared. I don't think it can inherit them from that. Like, yeah, it's like to put it in the section and then you do colon and then you could say inherits inits. But then what if it doesn't have those? Maybe. Let's try that. Inherits from inits. And then we'll figure out init's shortcomings again. Because obviously it's got a bunch of them. See? Operating system scheduler not able to handle all that shit or something. Void dump. Ah. Interesting. Yeah. So if we inherit from init, we need some way of deciding what gets inherited. It got really close to it. Let's see. That would be very optimal. And so when the this constructor is called, it's just gonna destroy the fucking init. that's how I'm gonna do that. Let's go find the dealing class inheritance. Classes. Okay, here we go. Here's something easier. Bar from foo. Inherits from objects. How do you decide what? Well, that's decided by doing private and public. So, do private on all these. Private. Wait, did I just do a private if statement? Oops. Oops. Yeah, anon if statement, guys. It's anon. Call it anon. See, this is why I've never really object-oriented programming in my life, but today is the day. Private this constructor. Achoo. I'm become a chew. So then also, we don't need threads. And we also need to take these, but not as G shared or static. That's one of the other things. Inheritance in programming in D. Oh, here we go. Oh, shit. Oh, fuck. Tutorials from this guy are amazing. So you want to inherit? Well then, you need to have some inheritance feature or something. Let's see. Inheritance from at most what? Inheritance from multiple classes? Oh. Oh, okay, yeah, because it only has single class inheritance. You can't do like multiple. Be like, oh, it takes from clock and sound emitter. I wonder what, like, I wonder if that was just like a design thing or like what led to that. Hierarchy charts, types that are related by the is. Oh. Better watches LTD. Constructing superclass members. Use the super keyword is to call the constructor. of another class. Oh, of the superclass. This is similar to calling overloaded constructors. It's been a while since we've seen the Debibus book. Book of Debibus. Book of... yeah. Clock. And then... let's see. Overriding definitions. Let's assume that clock has a member function that's also used for setting members to 0. However, it's necessarily ignorant of the members of alarm clock and clock.reset. It can only be... actually, here's an interesting thing. Because the dump is the same, this can be public, and we can just inherit from that into this one. Oh wait, no, that is different though. Wouldn't this just be override though? We could just do override. Anyway, we're still calling that one a... unless this inherited from this one, the simpler should be the toppest one. Using subclass in place of superclass. Inheritance is transitive. Polymorphism is not just limited to 2 classes. Subclasses of subclasses can also be used in place of superclass. Abstract. Sometimes there are member functions that are natural to appear in a first class. Also, can call override on this, maybe? Maybe this override that. We'll try that out. And, no constructor for you. Get wrecked. Let's see if that works. So I slapsticated private on everything. I'm hoping that works. I have no idea, though. Cannot override... okay. Okay, so they don't get initialized. At least not yet. So... inherit from those. Call parser colon init. Actually, if it is inheriting, wouldn't it also inherit the G shared static? Wait, let's go back to the book. The book has all the answers. Bing, ding, ding, ding. Oh, here we go. Ah, fuck it. I'll just figure it out. Hold on. So parser, we'll call parser colon init to inherit some of those. Let's see if that works and it passes off that way. Oh, it expected a semicolon. But then, shouldn't it also initialize the string args? So this is not getting passed off correctly. Let's see. Delay inheritance. Base class. So you have class, you got public, protected. The only thing we want to expose is that. Let's go ahead and simplify this. everything from here on is private. So if you put a colon, it means everything below it until the end of a scope, for example, gonna also be private. That's the same thing for if you declared, like, something else. I forgot what it was, but it's similar. Similar stuff. It's not purple, though. It's one of the things I know. Which I like that. I like that feature. So that's equals new rectangle. So we have the difference is, though, maybe we need the other class to access control and inheritance. Derived class can access all of the non-private members of its base class, thus the base class members that should not be accessible to the member functions of derived classes could be declared private in the base class. Square equals new square 13. I don't think inheritance gives us what we need, though. Oh, right, and then this constructor will take a thing and will destroy it. Destroying from another one using the constructor. This init. Yeah, actually, nothing's gonna inherit from. Well, I want to use inheritance, though. I just want to use it for some ungodly reason. I think the problem is that it just isn't initialized, and then when it passes off, it inherits nothing. So, it was a good idea, but I don't think it's gonna really work. So we'll create this constructor again. We'll call init. It will take an init, and then this dot args equals this dot words equals init dot words. Good. Then destroy init. Should be good. Now we gotta remove any other of the inheritance features that we just put in. Remove that. Boom. Should be good. We're back. Right, it needs to be called with new. It needs to be saved. Time to figure out that issue. Because this still has that issue. Where they subtract from threads. Part of that is the waiting feature. This needs to be done like that, but also, actually, yeah, we need to implement like an and statement in there. So while that's true, and this other one's true, but then it won't execute if they're not true. Or the other one is true, and then say words.length plus args dot length equals runtime dot args dot length -1. Go ahead and put that one. I think that one, yeah, that does need to go in there like that. Should work. Actually, let's go ahead and do it like this. Identifier runtime. Ooh, import it as inside the, yeah, put it inside this scope. Then we can forget about runtime entirely for the rest of the program, hopefully. And get a count of all of them. So, things, got things. Lot, I don't see a lot in there. Okay. Well, also... maybe we could do a complete. So then, instead, we just do complete. Comma, complete. This is too much initialization, but that's only 32 bits. So I guess I'll be fine with that for now. If we can get that to work. Then we'll just plus complete. Okay, so now instead of doing that, this entire thing is gonna just wait on threads to equal complete. So now, okay. Threads to equal complete. Or hold on, that's in the for each loop though. Technically, let's move this back. Technically what we could do is take this and set that beforehand. So runtime dot args dot length -1. It's gonna be the end of it, and then threads equals that. So now when threads is that, then boom. Now that should initialize threads. So this no longer needs to add. Then writes ln for threads. I want to see what that looks like. To U short. Congratulations, you am become cast U short. What do you mean? God damn it. It was a U long. Now it's a U short. Maybe it needs it to cast U short here too. Or it's only applying to runtime.args.length. Yep. Look at that shit. Things. So 14, the only one that returned complete. While threads does not equal complete. Wait. 14. I should have 14 things here. Casts of Doom and Despair. Yeah. Oh, man. I'm gonna rewrite this later. I'm gonna have... Hopefully if I have time today, I'll rewrite this. And not use this fucking... I'll come up with a better way of doing it. Because, I mean, maybe I don't want to pass ARGs. Maybe I just want to do the for each. And then parallel it. And then... Why would I even need to do that then, though? I mean, I guess technically you could do the handling inside of the thread and do it thread local handling for each of the args, but I mean, that's an option. Or you just don't even have args and you just make it into a terminal tool. Anyway, I'd like to thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. I know I'm wrapping it up a little bit early, but gotta do stuff today, so yeah. See you guys next time, and goodbye.